You're watching Rurouni K95's anime review on Street Fighter Alpha the movie. Hi Ruronis, this is your pal Rurouni K95 here. Today we've got another anime review. Last time we haven't done one in a while, but today's anime review we're going to be reviewing Street Fighter Alpha the movie. Last episode where I looked back on my previous anime review on Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, I was thinking about doing an anime review on Street Fighter Alpha the movie. That's the reason I have to do this anime review. Street Fighter Alpha, the animation released in Japan as Street Fighter Zero, and also known as Street Fighter Alpha the movie, is a 2000 OVA film based on the Street Fighter Alpha fighting games, and it was directed by Shigeyasu Yamauchi, with character designs by Yoshihiko Umakoshi. An English adaptation was produced by Manga Entertainment and released in 2001. It was released on August 31st, 2000, and the production company was done by Group TAC. This film is not a prequel or a sequel to either Street Fighter II the animated movie or Street Fighter II V, but an independent installment, although a handful of voice actors from the previous adaptations reprise their roles for the English version of the movie. So, our plot begins with Ryu is still complimenting the death of his master Goken, while at the same time experiencing the trouble with the dark Hado as Satsui no Hado, surge of murderous intent, an evil energy which Goken's brother Akuma succumbed to a long time ago. While in the city, Ryu fights off a few agents working for Shadaloo, gaining the attention of Interpol agent Chun-Li, who does some background research and realizes Ryu is the man who beat Sagat, the Muay Thai champion, many years ago. Also catching sight of Ryu is aspiring martial artist Sakura, who becomes fascinated with Ryu and vows to track him down and became his student. In Japan, Ryu is approached by a mysterious woman, Rose, who questions him briefly about his hold over the Dark Hado and reason for fighting. While visiting Goken's grave, Ryu meets his old friend Ken. They are both approached by a young boy named Shun, who claims that he is Ryu's long-lost brother. According to Shun, their mother raised Shun in Brazil until her recent death, and she sent Shun to find Ryu before she died. Ken is skeptical, but Ryu decides to take Shun in and notices the boy's potential as a fighter. One night, Ryu succumbs to Dark Hado, nearly killing Ken. Ken punches him in the stomach. Then Ryu returns to normal. Later that night, Ken talks to Ryu about his Dark Hado. Ryu instructs Ken to kill him if he's ever completely possessed by the Dark Hado. Ken is reluctant at first, but then agrees. Ken and Shun decide to enter an underground fighting tournament, but Ryu declines on the way. They are harassed by some street thugs. Ryu and Shun fight them off effortlessly, but Ryu also notices a rather violent and sadistic streak in Shun, whom he has to punch to stop him, killing one of the thugs. Ken, meanwhile, finds Sakura in a bar and agrees to take her to Ryu, although he is too late to enter the tournament, much to his chagrin, if I'm correcting it. Inside the building, Ryu is found by Chun-Li, who managed to locate him in the tournament, watched by his enigmatic organizer, Dr. Sadler. Shun is pitted against the brutal wrestler named Zangief. Shun briefly messages to pummel Zangief with his superior speed, but the Dark Hado catches up with Shun, distracting him long enough to receive a brutal beating from Zangief. Ryu steps in and briefly fights Zangief, but he too is overcome by the Dark Hado, and he almost kills Zangief with a Dark Hadoken, which misses Zangief but causes the building to start collapsing. As Ken takes an injured Sakura to safety, Ryu is confronted by a huge man named Rozanov, who then proves to be more than a match for both Ryu and Chun-Li combined. Just as Rozanov prepares to knock Ryu unconscious, Shun steps in and takes the blast. Ryu succumbs to his rage and obliterates Rozanov with a Shinku Hadoken. However, while Ryu is distracted, Shun is abducted by the Sha'adulu agents. By now, Ryu has completely lost the will to fight. However, Rose appears before him once again, compelling him to save Shun from Sadler and himself. Ryu accepts, but first he goes to see Akuma, accompanied by Chun-Li, in his secluded home in the mountains. Once they're Akuma, under the belief that Ryu has come to challenge him at last, attempts to goad him into a succumbing into the Dark Hado, but Ryu refuses, and Akuma orders him to leave. Ryu manages to ask Akuma if he is Shun's father, but Akuma denies it. Ken arrives and spars with Ryu. After they spar, Ryu reminds Ken to kill him if he's taken over by the Dark Hado. After this, Ryu decides to travel to Sadler's hideout and rescue Shun himself, accompanied by Ken, Chun-Li, Guy, Dan Dahelsim, Birdie, Adon, Rolento, and Sodom. As the other fighters battle outside Sadler's lab in the arena, Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li sneak inside to find Shun. The first winner is Birdie, and he is led to a trap which will strip him of his fighting potential, though he is freed by Ken and Chun-Li, who break the other fighters out. However, they are confronted by a very alive Rozanov in the corridor, who makes quick work of the three of them despite their efforts, blowing that part of the hideout to smithereens. Ryu arrives on the scene and fights Rozanov again, realizing that Rozanov is actually an android, and this one is really Shun, who was working for Sadler and luring Ryu into a trap. Shun Rozanov attempts to goad Ryu into using the Dark Hado since he is connected to Sadler, and every blow which is landed on Shun Rozanov will increase Sadler's fighting potential and make him stronger. Ryu refuses, but is eventually pushed over the edge when Shun Rozanov beats Ken mercilessly, and Ken uses the last of his strength for a Shoryuken, which does nothing more than dislocate the android's jaw. Finally, Ryu succumbs and fires a Dark Hadoken at the android, feeling Shun and destroying Rozanov once and for all. With the sudden increase in the power, Sadler bursts out of his lab and finally emerges on the battlefield. With Ryu exhausted, Sadler easily takes the upper hand and pummels Ryu around. Ryu prepares to succumb to the Dark Hado once again, even though Ken and Shun implore him not to. Sadler overwhelms Ryu with a Hadoken, which nearly kills him. Though only Ryu can see her, Rose intervenes, informing that Ryu, that you haven't drawn the death card yet. Inspired, Ryu snaps out of the vision and returns to his normal state and fires a normal Shinku Hadoken directly into a distracted Sadler, who crumbles into dust while openly wondering how Ryu could still surpass him. Shun's injuries, however, are too severe, and as he lies dying, while he reveals that he lied to Ryu about being his brother and worked with Sadler so as to raise money for his mother, who still died. Ryu then tells Shun that he is probably is still his brother. As Shun succumbs, Ryu vows never to use the Dark Hado ever again. In other words, so the movie's final scenes depicted that the fighters returning to their everyday lives. Sakura, now fully recovered, decides to continue training so that one day she may be able to fight Ryu. Chun-Li is seen beating some other thugs, and Ken is seen fighting in another Street Fighter tournament. In a distant area near the sea, Ryu is seen accepting Akuma's challenge but informs him that he will not use the Dark Hado. The two then jump into the air with their battle cries ready to fight. So my thoughts about Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, however, I mean, it's alright, but this is nothing to be a lot like Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Because this one is not a prequel to Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Well, particularly Street Fighter 2, the animated movie is a lot more popular because Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, is more of an independent installment than Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, because Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, is a lot more popular. Is probably the most popular one. Well, not as well received as Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Street Fighter Alpha garnered a mix to a positive response, earning a 58% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, or Rotten A-Holes, which I call Rotten Tomatoes as Rotten A-Holes. But hey, there is English cast on the... You got English actors from other anime, like Tom Weiner, Steve Bloom, Keith Burgess, Leah Sargent, Mona Marshall, Michelle Ruff, Carolyn Hennessy, Richard Cancino. Let's see, Richard Cancino. He did anime such as Fist of the North Star, Trigun. Oh, he also did the voice for Kenshin Himura in Rurouni Kenshin. So, anyways, so my thoughts about Street Fighter Alpha, the movie. I mean, it's alright. It's a lot very independent for a Street Fighter anime movie, as it was to other ones like Street Fighter Generations or Street Fighter 2V. Well, particularly, it didn't see well as Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Well, particularly, I like Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Street Fighter Alpha, it's okay, but to be fair, I like Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, more because it's a lot more popular, I guess. So that concludes my review on Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter Alpha, the movie. So that's going to be it for my anime review on Street Fighter Alpha, the movie. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's my thoughts. So Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, is not really popular as Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, because Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, is a lot more popular because it's a lot more different than other Street Fighter anime movies like Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, I guess. Subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description down below. Share this video on your Twitter and Facebook. If you have a Twitter and Facebook account, be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking the like button on this video. Please leave it in the comments about your suggestions on anime reviews by leaving the comment section below in this video. Please subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel. Click on my notifications bell button. Check out my videos that I'm uploading as well. And that's all I have to say. So keep it otaku for my anime review on this fighting video game review on this anime review on Street Fighter Alpha, the movie. And that's all I have to say. This is RuRoniK95 saying thank you for watching my anime review. I'm glad you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope to see you soon for the next anime review, and hope you have a great day. This is RuRoniK95 signing off, and thank you for watching my anime review on Street Fighter Alpha, the movie, for today's anime review.